Okay, hello everyone, and thank you for attending the Bon Appetit virtual job fair event. I would like to introduce you to Jason. Jason will tell you about his company, job openings, and how to apply for those openings. Jason?
Yep. Hi, everybody. How you doing? Thanks for being here. So I am Jason Carone. I'm the coordinator here with Bon Appetit at the University of Chicago. And we are having interviews for all of our open positions for cooks, food service workers, and our utility dishwashing position, as well as supervisors. So I'm kind of just going to go over a little bit of information about our company, and then just some information about the positions that we're hiring for, if you're interested in those. On this first page here is just the website to go to apply to any of our positions. If you want to go there, you can apply, and I'll have the requisition numbers that you can go to directly to apply to those positions once you're on the site. But it's careers.compassgroupcareers.com. And then you can go and search by hourly positions and find all of our positions through there. Are we able to go to the next slide? Okay, perfect. So about us, Bon Appetit is an on-site restaurant company offering full food service management to corporations, universities, museums, and specialty venues. Our food is cooked from scratch, including sauces, stocks, and soups. A pioneer in environmentally sound sourcing policies, we develop programs addressing local purchasing, overuse of antibiotics, sustainable seafood, the food climate change connections, humanely raised meats and eggs, and farm workers' rights. We've been recognized by many leading foundations, nonprofits, and industry associations for our work. Our mission statement here is our dream is to be the premier on-site restaurant company known for its culinary expertise and commitment to socially responsible practices. We are culture driven to create food that is alive with flavor and nutrition prepared from scratch using authentic ingredients. We do this in a socially responsible manner for the well-being of our guests, communities, and the environment. So that's just a little bit about the company Bon Appetit. We are on site here at the University of Chicago in Hyde Park. We have over 10 different locations that we are staffing for. We have 4 dining commons, which is our biggest areas for food service. There's 6 different stations, including avoiding gluten, halal, kosher. There's a comfort station. We have a pizza station with salads and all different toppings. There's soups as well, and we do breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day of the week. So each of our positions here, I'll start with the first one, is our cook position. So we have a couple different options there where you can apply, and we have interviews set up for those different positions. But basically, being able to prepare the high quality food in accordance with standardized recipes and instructions. Going to be preparing food according to applicable federal, state, and corporate standards, guidelines, regulations, and ensure that quality food service is provided at all times. Our food service utility position, that one is our dishwashing position. So with that, it would be, working in the kitchens, cleaning pots and pans, any dishes that are coming in, for plates when we do have students eating in our buildings, with plates and everything. Currently with COVID and some of the restrictions there, we do have everything going into go boxes, so food is just served. But the dish, you're still doing dishes as far as pots and pans and everything like that, and any utensils that are used for the cooking process. Our food service worker position, that one's going to be serving food, making sure that everything is stocked up properly, that we have plates and dishes that can be used, silverware, serving the guests that are coming in and making sure that there's a good environment for the guests to come in when they are eating in our locations, making sure that our areas are kept up clean and everything is organized properly. And then our supervisor position as well. So that's going to be, supervisory experience required there. But, supervising a shift, whether it would be daytime, nighttime. And then we also have our cafes that supervisors would be responsible for as well. And that's all the information I had to go over. Um, I know there was going to be some time for questions as well.
Fantastic. Thank you for that presentation, Jason.
Yeah, absolutely.
And at this point, what we'll go ahead and do is transition into the Q&A portion of the event here. And again, as stated in the chat, if you have any questions for Jason, please enter them into the chat if you would, and we will get those answered for you. In the meantime, Jason, what I will do is go ahead and ask some generalized questions while we're waiting on some questions from the participants. Can you kind of elaborate on how long your hiring process typically takes from the point of submitting an application to actually being offered a position for hire?
Absolutely. So we will set up interviews with candidates that have experience and for our positions. So the day of the interview, we would have applicants fill out some forms with references and availability. After the interview process, if they are selected, usually within 48 hours, we'll call them to offer the position. We also check references, and then there's a background check. So the background check process typically takes around a week to 2, depending on different situations with background checks, but typically about a week and a half. And then after everything is clear with the background check, every candidate would come in and get scheduled for orientation. And then the day after orientation, they're able to start working with us. Typically, it's about a three-week process overall from start to end.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir. And we did receive a question in the chat that said, more generally speaking, what is the hiring process? I know you touched upon some elements there, but can you kind of elaborate maybe a little bit further on that?
So I guess because from the applicant standpoint, they would go online to apply for a position. We get all of our applications through our system, and I'll review those on a daily basis. So once we get those, and I find candidates that are that meet some requirements that we're looking for, I'll give them a call and set up an interview. The interviews are always here on campus, so we do the interviews right here at one of our locations. So you could see the spaces that we're working in and kind of see how things are going. Typically, it would be during a time when they're open, so you can see some guests that are around and just kind of the areas, how they look, how the food looks, and everything like that as well. And then our interviews typically take about a half hour. That they'll speak with the manager, those answer some general questions. And like I said, after that, we will call within 48 hours to get an offer sent out to the candidates that have been selected. And then the 2 or 3 weeks from there to do the background check and then orientation as well.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Jason. And I do just want to reiterate for the folks that are on the call or just joined the call, if you do have questions for Jason regarding employment with Bon Appetit, please feel free to enter those into the chat and we'll get those answered for you as soon as possible. Jason, I know another question that I get frequently on all the events I host is, how is your organization handling COVID safety precautions? Can you kind of elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, absolutely. We're really big on safety. Everybody here wears masks. We have some guidelines set up there where as you're working in one of our locations that employees are changing out masks regularly. So they are having, clean masks on the entire time. Very big on washing hands and using proper PPE when in the workplace, whether it goes with cut gloves, using, the gloves for your hand for when you're cutting, using the mask, sanitizing tables as, often as possible, especially when students are sitting down and eating. Keeping distance, we're really big on the 6-foot distance, especially in the dining areas for students and for the staff as well when they're sitting down for breaks, eating. Trying to keep that distance even in the workplace while they're cooking or preparing food and things like that. So we are very big on that. We want to keep everybody safe from the moment they get here to when they leave and head back home.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir. And can you elaborate a little bit more on your shifts? When do shifts typically start with your organization? And then I know a question that I get frequently with a lot of applicants is, do you offer any sort of flex scheduling opportunities with your organization?
Yep. So our locations are open, from starting at 7 a.m. up until midnight for some of our locations, depending on where it is and the quarter that we're in. But typically shifts would be anywhere from 6 a.m. up until that 1 a.m. Time slot for the late night options that we do. For our positions that we're offering now, typically it would be more sort towards night shift. So it would be like in the range of 2 to 10, 3 to 10 sometimes, depending on that. And then we have the late night option, which would be up until midnight, depending on that. But typically, we'd be offering shifts that would be mid afternoon to night shifts.
Thank you, sir. We did receive another question in the chat. This individual asks, are there any requirements for the food service workers position?
Yep. So the biggest requirement for all of our positions is having a food handler's license. So you got to make sure that everybody does have that by the time they start. And then we do, especially for our position, we do look for people that have experience in food service, at least doing something similar to our positions that we're looking for. So whether it's, serving food, cashiering is always a big one that we get a lot of people that have experience cashiering and, doing to-go food and things like that. So we look for people that have experience, obviously, but the food handler's license is a big part of that as well that we need to make sure that all of our applicants have.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jason. I just do want to reiterate, I see we did get another question here. If you do have any questions for Jason regarding employment with Bon Appetit, please feel free to enter those into the chat. You have a prime opportunity to get those questions answered right now. And Jason, we'll pivot back to the question that I have. How can a candidate stand out and get an interview, assuming they are qualified for the position in which they're applying? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. Obviously, like having the resume attached to their application is always big, so we could see the work history that they have, and answering all the questions on our application process, just so we have as much information about you as we possibly can. One thing I've noticed is sometimes people apply and they don't put enough information, and we don't have enough on them to call right away, or to set them up with an interview if we don't have their work history. So having that information available to us at the beginning of the process is very helpful. And obviously, if you have the work experience, it's going to help. As we see that if you have a lot of work experience in food service or in restaurants, it's going to help bring it to the top of the list of people that we're looking for.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Jason. And being that the positions that you covered here primarily have to do with food service, are there any restrictions on tattoos, hair color, or piercings?
Yes. So we do have a uniform policy. All of our employees wear black slippers and shoes, black pants, and then a black long sleeve shirt. So typically most of the body is going to be covered because there's long sleeves and pants on. Hair color should be natural color, and there would be no jewelry, any fake eyelashes or fake nails or nail polish for any of our workers, just because of the chances of anything either falling off or chipping off into the food or any of our products. So we do have a policy there where, like I said, hair color should be normal color, but no extra jewelry, fake nails, or fake eyelashes. Tattoos, I mentioned that as well. Typically, if they are covered, if there is something that's offensive, either on like the hands or neck or face area, they may be asked to get covered up with either makeup or a Band-Aid or something, is that just to cover it up a bit, depending on what it is.
Fantastic. Thank you for that thorough response, Jason. And then kind of building off your response to that question, do you provide any sort of clothing allowances for the folks who work for you?
Yes. During the probationary period, which is 90 days with us, after 30 days, we do provide uniforms to our incoming employees. So you'll have to supply the uniform for the first 30 days, and then after that, we'll get uniforms. Um, Along with that as well, after 90 days, you are able to order shoes, and that would be every beginning of the school year, you'll get a new pair of slippers and shoes that you order through the company.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jason. We did receive another question in the chat. This individual asks, how soon are you looking to fill the positions?
We're looking currently, obviously, with this virtual job fair. So we're trying to get people in as soon as we can. We try to schedule interviews with our candidates on a weekly basis and get them in as soon as possible.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Jason. For the folks that do want to follow up with you, not only regarding this employment opportunity, but just any general inquiries that they might have about employment with Bon Appetit, what would be the best way to get a hold of you? Or is there an individual or perhaps a informational email that your organization oversees that they should send questions to?
The best way would be to reach me by email or phone. I can provide that information. And then once you apply to a position, I see all of our applications that come through. So if you apply, I will get your application and be able to contact you that way as well. I can enter my contact information into the chat too, if that would be the best way to do it.
Yeah, I think that would be ideal for the folks who are on the call, Jason, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
And again, while Jason is entering the questions the information into the chat, if you do have any questions for Jason regarding employment with Bon Appetit, please feel free to enter those into the chat and he will get those answered for you as soon as possible. Jason, I know you probably touched on some elements of this, but can you kind of elaborate on what a typical day might look like for somebody in one of these positions?
Yeah, absolutely. So with our positions, obviously, you could be working in food service. So a big part of it is going to be customer service. And, you're going to be out in front of the guests. All of our locations are pretty wide open. Our kitchens are very visible once you're walking through our location. So one of the big things is, making sure that our areas are kept up clean and organized because as students are walking through our cafes, they can see behind the kitchen, they can see the floors. So just making sure everything is, kept up nice and clean and organized. Typical day, basically, going to be depending on the shift you're in, but obviously, getting stuff set up and prepped for the day, making sure that you have enough items set up, whether it's, stocking up plates or boxes for to-go food, having silverware and bags for our to-go customers that are coming in. Sanitizer buckets and things like that are all set up properly in the stations that you're in. And then serving the food during those times for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Always working with the customers, making sure that they're getting the best experience when they're in our cafes. And then obviously, closing duties as well, where you're going to be cleaning, making sure everything is taken care of at the end of your shift, so the next day they can come in with a fresh start and be able to start back up again.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Jason. It looks like we did get 2 additional questions in the chat, so I'll ask the first one. The first question is the hiring process the same in the pandemic like in the past? Have you made any sort of adjustments to your hiring process, Jason? I know you briefly stated that folks do come in for the interviews, but have you allowed on certain occasions for folks to perhaps interview virtually?
We have not done anything virtually. This is something we're trying out as a virtual event. So we have had people come in for all of our interviews here on campus. One thing we have made some changes to is our orientation process. So orientation typically is a few hour process. So we have everybody come in, they complete paperwork, go through a couple presentations. We've shortened that period dramatically, and we have videos that get sent out to the applicants before orientation, so they can watch the videos, learn some information about the company and our processes. And then when they come in, we kind of touch base on those a little bit, but it's a shortened period, so they're not here for the full day. And we're very big on social distancing, so when we do have any employees coming into the location for orientation or for any meetings, we have everything spread out, sanitizer available to everybody, and mask as well.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir. And I did receive another question in the chat. This individual asks, how do you pay for the cook? I'm assuming they're asking for the pay rate for a cook position. I don't know if you're comfortable.
We are our range for all of our positions from dishwasher up to cook was anywhere between 13 and 17. There's a couple different levels, so it would depend on the qualifications and experience and things like that as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason. We did receive another question in the chat. This is actually a pretty relevant, good question. Are there any sort of physical requirements for any of the positions that you have? Any sort of lifting requirements or minimums, things of that nature?
Yeah. So being able to lift up to 50 pounds, obviously with the help of a team member, would be one of the requirements. Being able to be around hot, stoves and kitchen appliances that you're going to be working with. So being able to withstand the heat from those different the grills, fryers, ovens, and things like that. Lifting, and then being able to stand for up to 8 hours a day during your shift, because there is typically going to be standing up most of the time because you're going to be walking around, cooking or serving the food. So you're going to be on your feet for a majority of your shift.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Jason. I do have an additional question for you. Being that it is, I'm assuming associate with the university there, are there any sort of background checks that folks would have to be subject to? And if so, would minor misdemeanors or infractions of that nature disqualify folks from being able to apply for the position?
Yep, there is a background check. Unfortunately, we don't get to see everything that is provided on the background check and what is either taken a yes or no for our background checks, but there is a background check that goes back, I believe, 10 years on our candidates. So I can't say yes or no for what exactly is looked at and what is deemed hireable or not based off of the background check.
So thank you, Jason. I just do want to reiterate for the folks still on the call, if you do have any questions that you would like to ask Jason, please feel free to enter those into the chat. We'll get those answered for you. Jason, with that said, I have one final question for you before we kind of begin our wrap up. That question is, what are the opportunities for advancement within your organization? And are there any particular success stories that you might be able to highlight given your experience working for Bon Appetit?
Yes, absolutely. So we do post, we look to promote from within for all of our positions. As they become available, we do post positions internally. So if there's a cook available, a position available that's full-time, we'll post it internally to all of our team members first. And they can applicants are able to bid on those positions. So that does happen a lot, whether obviously, like, if there's a food service worker that's trying to become a cook, they'll have a better chance of being upgraded to that position based off of their experience and things like that, and just kind of the work they're doing. But there are plenty of opportunities for movement around. Since we do have so many locations as well, positions get posted for different parts of the company that people can apply to from whatever location they're at as well. So they're not just stuck in that one spot. If they decide they want to try to do something different and at a different location, they're able to do that. And I have seen, quite a few people move up in the ranks. Seen people going from dishwasher positions up to cooks, and it's just all about what you're willing to try to learn to do and what you're working on, and communication with the managers and the supervisors in your location that you're working in, and letting them know that you're interested in doing more, and really working to do that.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jason. We did receive another question in the chat. This individual asks, will there be a need for people with baking experience? I'm experienced in both cooking and baking.
Yeah. So we do have baking here as well. We have a commissary kitchen that does baking, and a lot of our desserts and some of our packaged items. So we do have positions for that as well, if you have baking experience.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Jason. And then, Jason, at this time, I think we'll go ahead and begin kind of our wrap up of today's session. I do want to provide you with an opportunity to perhaps include any sort of information that you feel you might have accidentally omitted or overlooked, or just something that you would like to highlight once more or reiterate before we wrap up.
Yeah, I would just say, if we're really looking forward to meeting some of you once you apply the position or we'll be able to reach out to you once we get contact information for the people that have registered for this event. But we are always looking for great people to come here and join our team. And we look for people that are going to be good employees, come here to work every day, be on time, and really try to make the best of the opportunity that we have available here.
Thank you so much for your time today, Jason, and for your presentation. I know it was definitely insightful and definitely thorough. For the folks that are on the call that are interested in employment with Bon Appetit, I do see a member of the organization posted a URL to the application page in the chat, and I do know that Jason also provided contact information there as well. So if you do have any questions for Jason, again, reach out to him at the contact information provided. Take a look at the link in the chat there to apply to the positions that are available. And again, I want to thank everyone who was on the session here today. I do want to make note as well that this session has been recorded. It will be uploaded to Bon Appetit's employer booth on Illinois WorkNet later today. Similarly, that video is also going to be uploaded to the Illinois WorkNet Virtual Job Fair YouTube channel as well. So that information will be accessible at that location as well and posted there later today. Jason, thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. And just one more thing with the requisition numbers there. So when you go to careers.compassgroupcareers.com, you'll search for a position. You can just type in that number, like 44184 for food service worker, or 4382444 for a cook, and you can apply right there. And if you're on your phone, you could do it from the phone. There's a way to text it as well, and they'll have you go right to the links to apply to the positions on your phone if it's a little bit easier for people to do it that way instead of being on a computer. So there's a few options to apply.
Awesome. Thank you for providing those alternative options, Jason. Thank you so much.
Thank you.